welcome back to a special edition of the Friday Show. It's the annual Turkey Awards, 47th annual, I believe it is, Joe. Is that right?
Something in that neighborhood. I lost count a long time ago.
Right. Well, we are brought to you by Woodbine. Thank them for their year-long sponsorship of the Friday Show. They're not quite done yet. There's a couple of big stakes for 2-year-olds this weekend at Woodbine. So let's just get to it, Joe. I mean, well, first of all, this is football season. You know, the Bears are having a heck of a year. They haven't lost all of their games. They've actually won a couple.
Right. The Lions are actually good, which I'm pretty sure is a sign of the apocalypse.
Yeah, the Lions are, just to say the Lions are no longer an embarrassment is the biggest compliment I can give them.
Precisely. I mean, there's plenty of time to blow it still. The Lions are still going to be the Lions, but, this is weird. I'm not used to this.
Yeah. Well, so the Thanksgiving holidays, just, football, horse racing, family, all this good stuff. And, the Turkey Awards have kind of become part of the tradition of Thanksgiving, at least. So, we have a little fun with it, little trip down memory road on some of these. I know you've worked hard all year on these awards.
I've been tracking every minute piece of horse racing up until this day. This is my Super Bowl. This is a big day for the Cowboys and the Lions, and I don't know who gets the third game. I feel like it's always the Giants and some other NFC East team, but for me, this is my Super Bowl. We have been building up toward the Turkey Awards to award the best and most ridiculous in horse racing.
I would give the first Turkey Award to whoever moved the Detroit Lions games indoors, because I love the outdoor games on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. You just never knew what kind of weather you'd get. Now it's just like any other game.
Dome stadiums, man, they're the way of the future.
Yeah. Looking forward to domed racetracks. When will that happen, do you think? Never?
Listen, I've been advocating for Churchill Downs to build my old Kentucky Dome for years now. I'm tired of getting rained on Derby Day. Make it happen, Churchill. You have the money.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Turkey Awards, the 47th annual, as I said. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Back for Seconds Awards. Back for Seconds Awards. This year's Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita was, going in, there weren't a lot of great storylines, to be honest with you. But coming out of it, we had 3 horses that came back for seconds and won. Cody's Wish, Goodnight Olive, and Elite Power. And that's, I think that's what racing needs, is they need horses that you can follow from year to year. And the good news going forward is that Auguste Rodin, he's the horse that got me thinking about this, by the way. Mm-hmm. You see what I did there? The thinker, Rodin, right?
I like it. I see what you did there, Ray.
Yeah, if you got to explain your jokes, then they're not very good. His victory in the turf, I thought, was one of the most exciting races of the 2 days. He'll be back in training in 2024, as will Breeders' Cup Classic winner White Abario, and Goodnight Olive could be back for thirds, I guess, right? So
get that three-peat.
Yeah, so so far Goldikova and Beholder are the only 3-time Breeders' Cup winners, and they could use some company.
Yeah, I've gotten a chance to look at all 3 of the seconds horses this year. Cody's Wish, Goodnight Olive, and Elite Power. Cody's Wish and Elite Power are off at stud now. They both look fantastic. It's amazing. They just ran 2 of the biggest races of their lives not that long ago, and they look like they've been settled in for a long time. A lot of horses that come off the racetrack can still kind of sucked up, very fit, very tucked in, but they both look very strong, very fit, very, I hesitate to say ready for the stud barn, because you want to see horses stick around and run, especially ones running as high as they are, but they look good. Same with Goodnight Olive. I mean, she brought $6 million at the Fasig-Tipton November sale. She's coming back, but she still looks fit as a fiddle. These are good-looking horses.
All right, well, let's move on. That's not the only award, is it? We have more?
Yes, that's it. We're done. Thank you. Good night. We'll see you next time on the Turkey Awards.
All right.
No, we have
Take
plenty more to go.
take it
So
away.
we've all been there before. It's your year to move up from the kids' table to have Thanksgiving dinner with the adults. It's a big moment, but there can also be a lot of pressure that comes with it. With the adult table comes adult language, and when the swears start flying around, you start wondering what you can get away with saying in front of Nana. This is the Can I Say That at the Dinner Table award.
Nobles has taken the lead. Big invasion into second. Here's the wire. Nobles in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
So there are plenty of times when you look at a horse's name and wonder how that one got past the Jockey Club. Most of the time, they don't win a Grade 1 race in front of a national audience, but No Balls, that's a name that's going to live on forever in the record books after he won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. No Balls is a 4-year-old son of Noble Mission, and as you might have guessed, he is, in fact, a gelding. Now, one thing that's important to note here is that this was not the doing of owner Patricia's Hope or trainer Larry Ravelli. He actually started his career with owner and trainer Leland Hayes. And after winning his debut at Presque Isle Downs by 4 lengths, he sold to his current connections. I just have to wonder how many high fives were exchanged after that name got approved. Like getting a name like No Balls past the Jockey Club, you have to be doing that on a wing and a prayer. And they got the wing and the prayer. They got the Hail Mary. And now No Balls will have trophies with his name etched in them. Who knows? Maybe even an Eclipse Award. He could be Eclipse Award winner No Balls.
Well, forget horse names. What about sponsor names? The sponsor of the Dirt Mile, they couldn't even say on television.
The Big Fans Dirt Mile.
Yeah. I mean, we know it as Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile. Big Ass Fans is based in Central Kentucky. It's the name of a company.
Yeah.
But they kept referring to it as the Big Fans Dirt Mile. And I believe during the trophy presentation, it was the Biggest Fans Dirt Mile. So
I think, yeah. I couldn't tell if it was biggest or if they just sort of melded the words together, like biggest, like, see if we can sneak it in there.
Yeah, if you have a sponsor that you can't even say on television, nothing against the biggest of all time fans. I'm a big fan of their Big Fans, but
Yes.
that name, oh boy.
Well, Ray, I think you've got the next one.
All right, well, this is the Revenge of the Birds Awards, and let me just warn you, this one's not really a funny one. The Gulfstream Park Geese are the recipients of this award. And unfortunately, as I said, it's not a funny one. Last May at Gulfstream Park, jockey Chantel Sutherland was unseated from her mount and suffered a serious shoulder injury as the horses were pulling up when her mount spooked from geese who were crossing the track. It's happened. We've seen the geese at Gulfstream Park before. She said the geese were crossing over to the barn area where a trainer would regularly feed them at a certain time each day, put out food for them. And unfortunately, Chantel has not been able to return to riding since the accident. And it's like I said, it's a serious matter. The bottom line here for the winner of the Revenge of the Birds Award is birds belong on the Thanksgiving dinner table,
yes,
not waddling across a racetrack during the races.
So this is actually also a Back for Seconds award finalist because the Gulfstream Park Bird Colony won this award last year when a horse ran over an ill-fated flamingo, as it was put in the Equibase charts. And I believe a goose or a swan also got in the fray there in the same race. There were multiple birds that got run over in a race at Gulfstream Park last year, or I guess in 2022. So, we're back on the grind here. Gulfstream Park and those birds seems to be a pattern.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea. We've all seen the famous flamingos at Hialeah over the years, but I don't really recall flamingos being as much trouble as these geese or swans or whatever the heck they are.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's been part of the Hialeah gimmick for as long as I've known. Like, they have the flight of the flamingos and everything, where it's part of the presentation for the day. And I mean, seems like Gulfstream has more aggressive flamingos.
All right, Joe, what do you got next?
Okay, so there's always that one person at the Thanksgiving party who has a dish that nobody really touches, and usually for good reason. They've got their own special something in there that just doesn't work, and horse racing is chock full of that energy. Let's see who did the most with that with the I don't need a recipe, I know what I'm doing award. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of candidates for this one, but Churchill Downs and the saga of their turf course over the last 2 years has truly been something to behold. They took some time off there to revamp it, put some new surface in there, figure out a crowning situation. The new turf course debuted in April 2022, and they've been on and off it since then. The spring 2023 meet has been what it was. And even going into this fall, they're running the meet on a day-to-day basis because they just can't seem to get this thing handled. Something needs to change here. This isn't working so far. And once again, I'm going to advocate for my old Kentucky Dome here. If we didn't have to worry about inclement weather and the turf was fast all the time, I imagine we wouldn't be having as many problems with that turf surface. We just have the sprinklers. We wouldn't have to worry about soft or heavy turf. We'd be fine. Churchill Downs, you have your marching orders. You know what to do.
Aren't they located in the bluegrass state? It's like grass is the part of the nickname of Kentucky. It seems like it shouldn't be that tough, or maybe it's a different kind of grass they're talking about in the motto. I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like they've been having a lot of trouble with this. I know they had a lot of trouble with the Arlington Million card that they sort of rescheduled, and there's been long-running issues with this. And turf courses are hard to replace. They can be expensive to replace, but in a time when safety is at the paramount, both at Churchill Downs and everywhere else, it might be time to revisit that.
Joe, I'm old enough to remember when neither Churchill Downs nor Keeneland had turf courses.
Really?
Can you imagine? Yeah, they were both built, I think, in the early 80s. So there was a time when they didn't have turf. So they'll figure it out. It's only been, what, 40 some years? So.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
It's not about the journey, it's about the destination.
I mean, I can't really be too critical of Churchill Downs if you've seen my yard. I'm really good at growing weeds, not so good at growing nice plush grass. But look, I don't do it. I don't have a turf course, a turf yard superintendent. So they got to get it. They got to get this thing resolved.
Yeah. So, Ray, what do we got next?
Well, this is the Wishbone Award, and I think everybody's favorite person right now on social media is the recipient, and that would be Mike Rapoli. So we had a family tradition on Thanksgiving with my brother that each of us would grab the end of the wishbone that we would find in the turkey, and whoever got the longer end of it when it broke got to make a wish. My brother went on to a successful career as a veterinarian, and I'm doing this. So, needless,
Well,
needless to say, he won more wishbone breaking contests on Thanksgiving than I did.
I have a heroic losing streak with wishbones. I cannot remember the last time I've won one.
Well, if the Rapoli family has a similar tradition, I hope Mike wins, because he's going to need all the help he can get in turning this proposed National Thoroughbred Alliance into something more than just a talking point on Twitter or X or whatever we call that social media thing. This is an industry that has repelled change and clung to the status quo for decades on so many different things. Rapoli is focused on, I think, the right things to look at in terms of changing him. So I'm hoping his wish to improve racing and breeding comes true.
Well, I'll give him this. He's proven to be upwardly mobile. In the course of not very long, he's already become the commissioner of horse racing via a Twitter poll that he put up. So, the sky's the limit for him. Who knows? Soon he could be the czar of racing. He could be the president of racing. The titles are out there for him to get. As long as the people of Twitter give them to him, he's going to keep on rolling.
Well, it's been a fun, what's it been, about a month since he first brought this up, maybe a little over a month. And, he's made a lot of big moves. He's hired one person, and we'll see where that goes.
Listen, it's the right person, though. If you're going to hire anyone to start your organization, Pat Cummings is the right person.
Good enough. All right, Joe, you got any more here?
Okay, so I've got one more for you. At the dinner table, there's the turkey. We're excited about that turkey. There's the cranberry sauce. We're excited about that cranberry sauce. We're excited about the stuffing. But there's always the carrots, the peas, you got to eat your vegetables. There's so much carbs and protein going on. You got to get some of those vegetables in there. It's good for you. This is the Eat Your Vegetables Award. Over the past, honestly, as long as I can remember, this isn't even over the past at this point, horse racing has had an unusual relationship with mainstream media coverage. And that was brought to the forefront recently with the recent 60 Minutes investigation, where, honestly, I thought it came off a lot more positively than most people within the industry seemed to. But if you want to be taken seriously as a major mainstream sport, this is the kind of coverage that is going to be necessary for that. There were a lot of people that, got up in arms because the last two races of the Breeders' Cup were taken off NBC proper and aired exclusively on Peacock. But those are the same people who were thinking that, why wasn't horse racing shown in a more positive light in the 60 Minutes investigation? This is the vegetables. If you want to sustain yourself, if you want to be treated as a major sport like college football, like basketball, hockey, you name it, you have to be willing to accept being investigated like this, having that kind of opening. Those are your vegetables. You have to eat the things you might not like, because this is a symbol that you are a true national sport. And you have to be able to respond to those like adults, and not with just, maybe we write the journalists a letter and tell them how nice we are. No, that's not how these kind of things work. You improve your product, you improve the soundness of your game, and then they don't do negative stories about you. It's that easy. Eat your vegetables.
You didn't even have to sell me on this, because I love vegetables. I love that corn casserole.
Yeah, I like a good corn casserole.
I love Brussels sprouts. I'll take any vegetables. So you don't have to sell me on this at all. You can't have it both ways. You can't cry about not getting national media attention and then cry when you get it and it's not what you want. You get what you get. And the best way to get better coverage is probably to make it a better game. And that's one of the things that has happened as a result of the 2020 indictments and convictions and guilty pleas of the 27 or 30, whatever the number was, people involved in the game. We got Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority as a result of that. There had been a lot of missteps. People want overnight success from an organization that was the biggest startup, I think, in racing history. And as I said, they've made mistakes, but this is the only way to go forward. To go back to where we were would be really, I think, a tragedy. So you've sold me on the vegetables, Joe. Is pumpkin a vegetable? Because pumpkin pie is my favorite dessert. So
I believe pumpkin is a vegetable, but I don't know if a vegetable can be considered a dessert or not. To carry on that point, you mentioned the indictments, and I know a lot of, especially people on the backstretch, horseman types, have said they don't represent us. The Jason Services, the Jorge Navarros, we need to show more of the good people that are doing things. And we need to show the 60 Minutes of the world that, this is worth covering. And they fail to understand that 60 Minutes is an investigative program. If you are a person who is doing the right things by your horses, taking care of them, not giving them the bad stuff, the juice, not, sending them off to the meat pens, great. You're doing great. They're not talking about you right now. They're talking about the people who are giving your vocation a bad name. And there's a lot more of those out there. And honestly, it would be more beneficial to, shun the people that are doing the bad things and make it a cleaner sport internally, holistically, than writing a letter to a 60 Minutes reporter who's going to send it straight to the trash and make our sport seem crazy. That's how you fix the game, not with letter writing campaigns.
Yeah. Amen. Well, listen, we've gone through our Turkey Awards. We always try to end this on an upbeat note. What are we thankful for? And I'll go ahead and say that, as always, I'm thankful for my family, and on the racing industry side, the people who take care of the horses. Thanksgiving morning, Christmas morning, New Year's morning, there are people out there giving good care to these animals while you and I may be sleeping in or starting to gorge ourselves on feasts. So this year, I want to just throw in one other thing I'm thankful for, and that's the fact that we had a really rough couple of years with COVID. And 2023, it's not gone completely. But for the first time, I feel like I can get on an airplane, I can go to a big event and not have this kind of concern that, oh my God, this could be a super spreader. So I'm really thankful that seems to be in the rearview mirror, or at least I hope it is. And we can just kind of continue going on living, normal lives, as normal as I can make my life.
Ray, how am I supposed to top that? You've tagged off all the good things. Ray, you told all the good stories. So I am going to sort of take my own selfish approach on this and focus on something a little more inward. If you follow me on social media, you're probably familiar with the gelding that Natalie and I have, _ he's better known as Blueberry. He's definitely a ray of light in my life. He's made me very happy over the years. I hesitate to say that he's the reason that I get up in the morning, but he's certainly one of the primary motivators. And when I spend time with him, I think of every set of hands that has been on him from his birth to the point where he is now. And it's been so many in so many different states and so many different companies. And they've all done right by him. They've given us a good horse with a good mind on his shoulders, who's healthy, sound, happy. And it makes you appreciate how much work goes into a single horse, whether it's a Kentucky Derby winner or it's someone's off-track thoroughbred. And, it makes you look out at the great cluster of stars that's out there, really, in terms of all those hands. And I'm thankful to each and every one of them for giving me a horse that makes me so happy in life.
And just think of it. There's what do we have? 20,000 foals born a year. Mm-hmm. Think of all those different hands and all those different horses that are doing the right things.
Yes.
The people who are doing the wrong things get the headlines. But just imagine how many people are doing the right things with all those horses.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Well, take us out, Joe.
Well, to take us out, we're going to take one last look at 2023. This year has been full of a lot of tough news, and with tough news comes people trying to find answers that might not necessarily be rooted in reality. So for one last time, we're going to actually, hang on. I have to do a costume change for this one. Give me a moment. Okay, so as I said, we have a lot of theories that are not rooted in reality here. I have my tinfoil hat on. It has the antenna to keep the rays away from me. We are going to take one last what? Oh,
I'm a
yes,
Ray.
exactly. Exactly. You're on the other side of the country, Ray. It's working. The hat works. See, we got another conspiracy theory to add. We're going to take one last look in memoriam of the great conspiracy theories of 2023.